If someone using a restaurant's restroom gets bodily injury while using that restroom, can they claim for damages? We're going to answer that question and talk about liability insurance today. What's up? You're watching Tito Talks non-life insurance discussions once again with me, your favorite Tito Miguel, who loves to make non-life insurance discussions easier to understand for both agents and clients. Magandang Friday afternoon or evening if you're watching this in the evening, which is probably accurate because I upload very late. Happy Friday to all of you. Plus, it is a Friday payday. So, congratulations to all of you. And it is also potentially a long weekend. So, you've got that going out for you. Don't spend too much. Thank you for coming in today. Once again, to cap off the work week and before we send you off to enjoy the lovely weekend, we've got one more topic to cover this week. And here, we will be answering a very interesting question. Can someone using a restaurant's bathroom claim for bodily injury if they get injured while inside this restaurant's restroom? And the answer to that question is a resounding yes. Yes, they can.
Bakit naman, Miguel? Di na nga bumili. Nadisgrasya pa. Gagastusan pa ng restaurant.
I know. It sounds a little bit unfair on the end of the entrepreneur or the business owner, but you have to consider the fact that an injury took place under their establishment, under their management, within their premises. And things that happen within a business premises, a business's premises, is of course the responsibility and liability of that said business, whether it's a paying customer or not. They are inside the business allowed them to be there, the business allowed them to use the restroom, and therefore, what happens to these people inside that restaurant is, of course, that restaurant's liability. And this is coverable under a product known as the Comprehensive General Liability Insurance Policy, which businesses can get, which happens to be a smaller category of a larger umbrella known as liability insurance. Now, liability insurance can extend into various aspects of a person's life, not just with businesses per se, but it can also get down onto a personal level. And that's what we'll be talking about during the next 10, 12, 13 minutes. Now, liability insurance boils down to actually just two things in general. Liability insurance will pay for your liabilities, for your potential losses in the event of both bodily injury and property damage in relationship with you, either you as the person or you as the business owner. This is where liability insurance branches out into its two distinct policies, or the two distinct types of liability insurance, namely, so you've got two types of liability insurances that boils down to the CGL, which stands for Comprehensive General Liability, and you've got your CPL, which stands for Comprehensive Personal Liability. And today we will be breaking down these two to create a fine distinction between the two of them. So what's the difference between CGL and CPL? Let's talk about CGL first then, shall we? Now, CGL, which we explained earlier, stands for Comprehensive General Liability. This is mostly used, take note, mostly used with businesses and entrepreneurs, people who set up their businesses and who entertain customers on a regular basis. Meaning, if you own an office, if you own a consultation firm, if you own a restaurant, these businesses could incur liabilities from almost any type of situation. Again, Let's go back to our example. People using your bathroom could be a potential source of liability, especially if they get injured while using the bathroom or if they incur damage to their property while they are inside your establishment. Also, you can get liabilities from people getting food poisoning, especially if you're running a restaurant. People who complain about food poisoning from eating your customers' food could end up filing for damages, which includes hospital bills and, in worst case scenarios, death benefits such as burial and funeral expenses. So CGL actually steps in for the business whenever the business incurs these types of liabilities, i.e., someone gets injured on the business premises and the business has to pay for medical or death benefits, the CGL will pay for these sorts of damages. Again, whether they may be due to bodily injury or property damage. And it's important to take note, though, that it is for businesses. So, as agents, if you are planning to insure a business, one common trend you're going to notice is that CGL is sometimes included as part of a full property insurance policy, which already covers fire insurance, also CGL insurance. Sometimes it also throws in personal accident insurance for the people that work at the business. So it can sometimes be bought as part and parcel of a larger package. Sometimes it can be bought individually, especially if the business is really, really concerned about its liabilities, or in cases wherein a business is only renting office space from a larger building which is owned by someone else. Therefore, that larger owner would have the right to get fire insurance. So the business can only get liability insurance in its stead. Now, CPL insurance, on the other hand, which stands for Comprehensive Personal Liability, applies on a more, for lack of a better term, personal level. So you, not as a business, but as a person.
Bakit naman ako magkakaroon ng liability as a person? Ang bait-bait ko nga eh.
That may be true, Miguel, but sometimes you can end up causing damage to other people and their properties, not by intention, but by negligence. You forgetting to do something important, you forgetting to perform your due diligence with certain tasks, you being careless or preoccupied in some instances, you could cause damage to other people's property and other people's bodies. You could end up injuring them. For example, you walking into a lovely history museum and you accidentally breaking a 500-year-old vase or painting or anything in that museum for that matter. Kakahiya, no? On top of it being nakakahiya, it is also very costly. To add to that, you will have to pay for the damages to the museum in terms of the value of whatever it is that you broke. And that is where CPL comes in. It helps you cover your liability in case you get into these embarrassing situations. But it's not just applicable to museums. You'll be very surprised to know it also applies to your house. Yes, that's right. You're hearing that right. Sometimes you may entertain guests at your house. Probably not this time because there's a pandemic. But let's say you entertain guests at your house and these people had an accident inside your household or your household premises. You're liable for those damages to their bodily injuries and the damages to their property. And it's not just when they slip and slide, they bump their heads, they trip over something inside your house, touch something they're not supposed to touch. It even applies to more interesting situations. For example, having a pet dog in your house, which accidentally, well, it's not accidental on the end of the dog, though. If your dog accidentally bites your guest because they did not recognize your guest, guess what? That's still your liability. Meaning, the resulting medical fees, the resulting death benefits would have to come out of your pocket. And yes, these third parties could claim against your insurance or could directly ask you to pay for their medical expenses and so on and so forth. This is where CPL comes in. It's on a more personal level, which protects you as a person as well as liabilities that could incur inside your home. Whether that be a home in which you've been living in, which you actually own, it could also refer to a home to which you rent, like like an apartment or a condominium. Even if it's just a plot of land that you own, there's no business, there's no house on it, but it is yours, then people could get injured there or properties could get damaged there, which is why it is important that you safeguard your property and only invite guests which you actually intend to entertain and take care of. Because if someone is inside your premises without your permission, that's trespassing na. Ano? And the CPL, of course, cannot respond in these sorts of cases. I hope you enjoyed that session for today as much as I enjoyed sharing that with you today. Now let's get on with our question of the day. This one's a little bit of a doozy, and it's something that a lot of new agents tend to mix up. As you know, we use a lot of terms in insurance, and some of these terms get mixed up with one another. And I'd like to ask you this question, and I want you to share your thoughts with me. No Googling. What's the difference between a hazard and a peril? Let me know what you think in the comment section. Let me repeat that one more time. What's the difference between a hazard and a peril? Leave me your answers, leave me your guesses in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you have not yet subscribed. I hope you enjoyed this lesson today. Once again, this is Miguel, your favorite tito, always saying, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.